As always in Scientology, each OT level could only be reached after an expensive course. Did Hubbard believe it, or was he having his followers on?
He probably always knew he was running a con. You know, he must have known that much of the stuff he was talking about was rubbish. But I think after a while, when he found there were thousands of people and the adulation around the planet for this man, I think that could take him over. I think he began to believe that he was, if not God, then very close to God.
Hubbard's new cosmology was accompanied by new forms of punishment on board ship. Crew members who displeased him were liable to be thrown overboard before being retrieved from the harbor below. If they reoffended, they were tied up and blindfolded first.
I saw one woman, Julia Lewis Salmon, from the United States, thrown overboard. This woman must have been in her 50s. She had her hands and I think her feet tied, maybe only her hands tied and a blindfold. But she went over. She was so panicked at the thought of being thrown over this way. She was standing on the edge of the deck, panicked, beside herself, shouting. And I was standing on the A deck with Hubbard and his other aides watching this going on. And Julia didn't jump over. She had to be pushed over because she was incapable. She was in such a fit.
He saw everyone suspiciously and assumed everyone was intentionally attacking him. Governments were attacking him, and then everyone around who made a mistake, they also were attacking him. And the only thing he could do would be to attack back.
In 1973, a French court started proceedings against Hubbard for fraud. He had left his ship, which was berthed in Morocco, and went to live in hiding in New York, where he was looked after by Jim Dencalcy. To turn the tables on his enemies, he devised a bizarre plan called Snow White. Its stated aim was to correct false reports about Scientology. It led to Scientology members infiltrating government departments. Hubbard even issued a reading list for learning the black arts of espionage.
He believed that there was an international cabal that was in control of the attack on him around the world, as well as the attacks on various countries. And so Snow White was written to find this cabal, find all the connections between all these enemy groups, to expose them, to destroy them. It was done through infiltration. In some cases, it was done through burglary. It was just pure military intelligence.
Having instigated Snow White, Hubbard rejoined his ship in the Canary Islands. There he had a serious motorbike accident. His mood dramatically worsened.
This was his period, which I call the pouting, the crying, the mad period, where he would cry and throw things against the wall, the bulkheads, and pout and scream. But right toward the tail end of that, he created the RPF, the Rehabilitation Project Force.
The RPF was yet another correctional regime. Its orders were fearsome. As ship's captain, it was Hannah Eltringham's job to implement them.
I was absolutely horrified when I read them because they talked about the creation of this pretty much like a slave labor camp. Those weren't the words used, but that was the impression given, where the unwanteds, those found wanting, seriously wanting, were sent, and they were to be kept in this with no rights, no freedoms, no privileges of any kind. Pretty much the basic rights they were allowed were a little bit of sleep each day, food, leftovers, the harshest treatment. They were not allowed to speak to any of the crew. It was very, very, very bad that this was going on. But Hubbard's statement to us was that it's going to take a lot more ethics and a lot more punishment than anyone can easily face up to get this whole world back in shape. And at that point, I believe that statement.
Human emotion and reaction is the way humans were. And he didn't especially regard humans very highly. He liked the idea of the doll bodies that were in other civilizations. Doll bodies didn't have human emotions and reactions. They were, I guess, like Spock, just very analytical. You just get the job done. No emotions there. Love is not a sentiment that's known or cared for. So, and that's to me the tragedy, because he put that, I feel, into the organization, into the way of being in the organization.
Hubbard even consigned his own son, Quentin, who was a senior auditor on the ship, to the RPF.
Quentin really was a real sweet kid. He was a real nice guy and very soft-spoken. And it was very difficult for him being Hubbard's son and being put on in this very high position. And I don't think he was that interested in it. He just wanted to be a pilot, and also the fact that he was gay. And that's a very tough thing in Scientology, to be gay. Because especially that kid, to be Hubbard's son and to be this top technical person and be gay, that would be a horrible thing to be wrestling with and suppressing all the time.
Quentin was sent to the RPF after he committed the sin of trying to commit suicide. 2 years later, he succeeded.